On our website, you can get PDF learning materials for free. Please visit englist.me.
Fossil.
Any preserved remains, impression, or trace of any once living thing that has become hard and turned into rock.
Examples:
Burning of fossil fuels. A fossil leaf. It was the fossil of a dinosaur tooth.
Amazing.
Extremely surprising, especially in a way that you like or admire.
Examples:
Amazing advances. The most amazing feeling. The golfer recorded an amazing distance.
Chapter.
A separate section of a written work usually numbered and titled.
Examples:
An introductory chapter. Chapter of a political party. The final chapter provides a summary of the discussion.
Fantastic.
Extremely good, excellent.
Examples:
A fantastic dress. Absolutely fantastic event. The new amusement park ride was fantastic, with twists, turns, and drops that left riders screaming with excitement.
Tale.
A story made up in someone's imagination, especially one full of action and adventure.
Examples:
A fairy tale. Tale of horror. Ghosts in folk tales are almost always malicious.
Anecdote.
A short and amusing or interesting story about a real incident or person.
Examples:
Personal anecdote. Funny anecdote. She entertained the guests with anecdotes about her travels and experiences.
Upside.
The positive aspect or potential of something, the upper side of something.
Examples:
Have no upside. Market upside. Many people see the upside of traveling as an opportunity to experience new cultures and broaden their horizons.
Rhetoric.
Speech or writing intended to please or persuade someone, the art or study of using language effectively and persuasively in spoken or written form.
Examples:
The rhetoric of a debate. High-flown rhetoric. He was known for his powerful rhetoric and ability to persuade people with his words.
Famine.
A severe shortage of food, often caused by drought, war, or economic reasons.
Examples:
Famine relief. Coal famine. The severe famine caused by the drought has left many people without food.
Corruption.
Dishonest, harmful, or illegal behavior, especially of people in positions of power.
Examples:
Corruption accusation. Federal corruption charges. Rampant corruption led to a loss of trust in the government.
Genocide.
The intentional killing of a large group of people, especially those of a particular ethnic group or nation.
Examples:
Genocide victims. Genocide resolution. The international community condemned the genocide in the country.
Slavery.
The practice or system of owning, buying, and selling people as property and forcing them to work.
Examples:
Slavery labor. Institution of slavery. The abolition of slavery in the United States was a major achievement in the fight for human rights.
Invest.
To put money, effort, time, etc. into something to make a profit or achieve a result.
Examples:
Invest in stocks. Invest capital. The government should view children as national assets and actively invest in them.
Opportune.
Suitable or happening at a time that is suitable or convenient for a particular purpose.
Examples:
Opportune occasion. An opportune remark. The phone rang at the most opportune time.
Continent.
One of the Earth's large landmasses. Adjective, abstaining from your feelings, especially your desire to have sex.
Examples:
The inland of a continent. Continent urinary diversion. Flight across the continent was a daring adventure in its day.
Separate.
To force, take, or pull apart, mark as different.
Examples:
Separate video into chapter. Separate cream from milk. We need to separate the aspect of his personality from the part of his competence when making an investment decision.
Fiction.
The type of book or story, especially novels, that describes imaginary events and people, anything made up or imagined that is not true.
Examples:
Stuff of science fiction. Non-fiction bestseller. Truth is stranger than fiction.
Statistics.
The discipline that concerns the collection, organization, analysis, interpretation, and presentation of data.
Examples:
Statistics for cancer. Official statistics. The statistics demonstrate that poverty and unemployment are genuine problems.
Realistic.
Having or showing a sensible and practical idea that is possible to achieve.
Examples:
A realistic goal. A realistic goal. That story was so realistic, and it was scary.
Degree.
A unit of measurement for angles, temperature, or level of proficiency or achievement, a rank or level of academic or professional attainment.
Examples:
Bachelor's degree. Degree centigrade. She received her degree in psychology from the university.
Turnaround.
The amount of time needed to prepare a vessel or ship for a return trip, a change or improvement in the condition, performance, or affairs of something.
Examples:
Miraculous turnaround. Turnaround strategy. The company's turnaround was a result of new management strategies.
Destiny.
The events that will inevitably happen to a particular person or thing in the future.
Examples:
Foreordained destiny. Destiny of the individual. It is said that our destiny is written in the stars.
Parcel.
Something wrapped in paper so that it can be carried or sent by post.
Examples:
A parcel of lies. Parcel of land. He runs a parcel delivery company.
Professional.
Having or showing the skill appropriate to a particular job, competent or skillful.
Examples:
Professional athlete. Certified professional secretary. He has a professional demeanor and always presents himself in a polished manner.
Consultant.
A person who provides professional or expert advice.
Examples:
Consultant firm. Chief consultant. We hired a management consultant to help us improve our business strategy.
Glob.
A small, round mass or lump, a drop or blob of liquid or viscous substance.
Examples:
Glob of paint. Glob of honey. She squeezed a glob of toothpaste onto her toothbrush.
Formal.
Following established, public, or official forms and conventions, often in a serious or somber manner.
Examples:
A formal festival. Formal request. The event required formal attire, so he wore a suit and tie.
Moss.
A small, soft plant that grows in a low, compact layer, often on the ground or on rocks.
Examples:
Green moss. Moss garden. Moss grows in damp, shaded areas and is often found on the forest floor.
Guru.
A spiritual teacher or leader, notably in Hindu and Sikh traditions, a person who has knowledge and expertise in a particular area.
Examples:
Guru meditation. Spiritual guru. He was considered a guru in economics and consulted by many leaders.
Sector.
A distinct part or division of something often used to refer to a segment of an economy or industry, an area or field of work or activity.
Examples:
Industrial sector. Private sector. The technology sector is constantly evolving and innovating.
Corporate.
Of or relating to a large company.
Examples:
Corporate right. Corporate environment. The corporate office has decided to lay off 10% of the workforce.
Democracy.
A form of government in which the people have the authority to deliberate and decide legislation, or to choose governing officials to do so.
Examples:
Democracy advocate. Principles of democracy. Democracy often entails inclusive capitalism as well.
President.
The leader of a republic, for example, the U.S., the person in charge of the organization, such as a company, university, club, etc.
Examples:
President Emeritus. Vice President for Finance. The club president does not have absolute power.
Slide.
To move or cause to move smoothly along a surface without interruption.
Examples:
Slide a card across the table. Slide a glance. If necessary, you can slide the front seats forward.
Abyss.
A deep, dark, or seemingly bottomless chasm or void.
Examples:
The abyss of time. An abyss of hopelessness. The deep sea is an abyss of mystery and discovery.
Chaos.
A state of complete confusion or disorder, often characterized by a lack of predictability or control.
Examples:
Chaos theory. Midst of chaos. The conference room was in chaos as everyone tried to speak at once.
Cycle.
An interval during which a recurring sequence of events occurs, a bicycle or motorcycle.
Examples:
The cycle of the seasons. Go to the workplace by cycle. The food chain causes a material cycle.
Confidence.
The feeling or attitude that one can trust or rely on the abilities or good qualities of someone or something.
Examples:
Confidence as a teacher. Boost my confidence. Skill and confidence are an unconquered army.
Hardcover.
A book with a rigid and durable cover made of thick material, such as cardboard, typically providing better protection for the pages than a softcover or paperback.
Examples:
Hardcover novel. Hardcover edition. I prefer reading hardcover books because they are more durable than paperbacks.
Pan-American.
Relating to or involving all of North, Central, and South America.
Examples:
Pan-American unity. A Pan-American organization. The goal of the summit was to Pan-American efforts to combat climate change.
Broadcast.
To send out a program or some information on radio or television.
Examples:
Broadcast a concert. Broadcast a radio ad. Most of the programs are broadcast in this area.
Privilege.
A special right or advantage that only one person or group of people has, usually because they are rich and powerful in a society.
Examples:
A breach of privilege. Privilege of membership. In the Middle Ages, the right to hunt in the wild was the privilege of royalty and nobility.
Benchmark.
A standard or reference point used for comparison or evaluation, a point of reference for measuring progress or performance.
Examples:
Industry benchmark. Performance benchmark. The teacher used a benchmark to measure the progress of her students.
Transformation.
A complete change in form, nature, or appearance of someone or something.
Examples:
The transformation of a tadpole into a frog. Cast a transformation spell. Understanding unitary transformations of a normal matrix require considerable mathematical sophistication.
Packed.
Extremely full of people, very crowded.
Examples:
Packed audience. A romance-packed movie. The drama is fascinating and action-packed.
Backpack.
A bag or pack that is worn on the back, often used for carrying books, equipment, or supplies.
Examples:
Backpacker's hostel. Backpacking trip. I packed my backpack with all the necessary camping gear for our trip.
Par.
A state of being equal to someone or something.
Examples:
Above par performance. Not up to par. Shares in the company finally fell below their par value.
Reaction.
A response that reveals a person's feelings or attitude. In chemistry, a process in which one or more substances are changed into others.
Examples:
Chemical reaction. Trigger a reaction. There was a chemical reaction of the lime with the groundwater.
Oasis.
A fertile land in a desert or semi-desert environment where there is water and therefore plants and trees, and sometimes a village or town.
Examples:
Tropical oasis. Oasis farming. The oasis supplied water for early farms until the modern age.
Legend.
An old story that may or may not be accurate regarding some persons and events, a well-known person who is admired by others for a long time, particularly in a particular field.
Examples:
Basketball legend. Legend of King Arthur. Many of the legends of the famous general came about hundreds of years after his death.
Trek.
A long and difficult journey, typically on foot.
Examples:
Horseback trek. Trek expedition. He was preparing for a long trek through the mountains.
Desert.
Arid land with little or no vegetation, often covered with sand or rocks.
Examples:
Desert basin. Oasis in the desert. This region is predominantly desert.
Battalion.
A large, organized military unit composed of several companies, typically commanded by a lieutenant colonel or a major.
Examples:
Infantry battalion. Armored battalion. The enemy forces were no match for the well-trained battalion.
Wipe.
To clean or dry something by rubbing with a piece of cloth or paper or one's hand and removing dirt, food, or liquid.
Examples:
Wipe off dirt. Wipe with water. Please wipe your sweat with this towel.
Sandstorm.
A severe, and often violent, windstorm in which a cloud of sand and dust is blown over a wide area, reducing visibility and causing damage to structures and equipment.
Examples:
Sandstorm warning. Sandstorm season. Many people experienced breathing difficulties during the severe sandstorm.
Myth.
An ancient story or set of stories accepted as history, especially explaining the worldview of a people.
Examples:
The myth of an old religion. Perpetuate a myth. With the financial bubble bursting, the myth of economic growth in investment banking collapsed.
Oracle.
A person or agency regarded as a source of wisdom, knowledge, or prophecy, an utterance, often ambiguous or obscure, that is considered to have prophetic or wise significance.
Examples:
Oracle predictions. Ancient oracle. The company's CEO was considered the oracle of strategic decision-making, with a track record of successful business moves.
Foretell.
To predict or reveal something that will happen in the future.
Examples:
Foretell the attack. Foretell the end of the world. The fortune teller was able to foretell the future by reading tarot cards.
Magical.
Produced by or containing supernatural powers.
Examples:
Magical place. Magical powers. When I was a child, my mother often cast magical spells to ease my pain whenever I was injured.
Tapestry.
A piece of fabric or cloth that is woven with intricate designs or scenes, often depicting historical or mythological events, a complex or intricate story, idea, or situation.
Examples:
Colorful tapestry. Intricate tapestry design. The tapestry on the wall depicted a medieval battle scene.
Healthcare.
The organized activity or business of preserving mental and physical health by preventing or treating illness through services offered by the health profession.
Examples:
Healthcare agency. Rising healthcare cost. In an aging population, citizens must pay more to maintain quality healthcare.
Develop.
To grow or expand, to improve or refine through a process of progress and refinement, often to achieve greater sophistication or complexity, to elaborate or add detail to something that is in the process of being created.
Examples:
Develop a strategy. Develop a skill. We must develop a new system to streamline our workflow and increase efficiency.
Confer.
To have a meeting or discussion, to come to a decision or agreement or exchange ideas, to bestow something.
Examples:
Confer degree. Confer honor. The leaders of the two countries met to confer on the issue.
Opposition.
The act of disagreeing or resisting, the state of strong disagreement.
Examples:
Opposition campaign. Meet with opposition. The opposition party strongly disagreed with the government's proposed legislation.
Satellite.
An electronic device that is sent up into space and moves around the Earth or another planet, used for gathering information or communicating by radio, television, etc.
Examples:
A GPS satellite. A meteorological satellite. Launching an artificial satellite contributed to the technological development of our country.
Profound.
Extremely great, sensed or experienced very strongly, displaying a high level of knowledge or comprehension.
Examples:
A profound book. The profound depths of the sea. My mother's illness had a profound impact on us all.
Glowing.
Highly enthusiastic, greatly praised.
Examples:
Glowing reviews. Glowing cheeks. The western sky was glowing pink.
Glory.
Great honor or success won by notable achievements.
Examples:
Greatest glory. Former glory. It is preferable to die in glory than to live in dishonor.
Literally.
In the real or original meaning of a word or phrase, in a literal sense or way, not figuratively.
Examples:
Translate literally. Bite his tongue literally. He literally jumped out of his chair when he heard the news.
Speck.
A very small spot, piece, or amount.
Examples:
A speck of dust. Speck of suspicion. The plane was just a speck in the sky.
Aglow.
Radiating or emitting a warm, bright light or color, characterized by a glowing or intense light or color.
Examples:
Aglow with excitement. Cheeks aglow. The city skyline was aglow with the beautiful lights of the fireworks display.
Dynamic.
Having a lot of energy, ideas, and enthusiasm and a strong personality, of or relating to dynamics, equals the branch of physics and engineering concerned with the forces that cause motions of bodies.
Examples:
A dynamic market. Dynamic person. The sprinter has a dynamic way of running.
Geography.
A field of science devoted to the study of the lands, features, inhabitants, and phenomena of the earth.
Examples:
Geography class. Economic geography. She did well on her geography exam.
Ignorance.
Lack of knowledge or information about a particular subject or fact.
Examples:
Ignorance of the law. Ignorance is bliss. His ignorance of the situation led him to make a poor decision.
Shed.
To get rid of something as superfluous or unwanted, to cast off hair, skin, horn, or feathers. Noun, an outbuilding with a single story, mainly used for shelter or storage.
Examples:
Shed an old skin. A cow shed. He shed a secret tear when he heard the news of his friend's death.
Eclectic.
Deriving ideas, styles, or features from a diverse range of sources, representing a broad or diverse range of ideas or interests.
Examples:
Eclectic style. Eclectic approach. Her eclectic taste in music ranges from classical to hip-hop.
Unpack.
To open and remove stored items from a container or package. To analyze or examine something in detail, often to clarify or understand it better.
Examples:
Unpack a crate. Unpack a concept. I need to unpack my suitcase and put my clothes away.
Landmass.
A large area of land, especially one that is distinct from surrounding areas by its topography, geology, or biota.
Examples:
Large landmass. Continental landmass. Australia is the world's smallest continent by landmass.
Populate.
To inhabit or occupy a particular area, region, or environment with a certain number or type of people, animals, or plants. To fill out or complete a form, document, or database with relevant information.
Examples:
Populate the countryside. Populate the spreadsheet. Deer, squirrels, and birds primarily populate the forest.
Mass.
A large amount of a substance with no definite shape or form, a large number of people or things grouped or crowded together.
Examples:
A mass of molten rock. Critical mass. The mass of people who do not own property is politically impotent.
Continental.
Of or relating to a continent, equals one of the Earth's large land masses.
Examples:
Continental divide. Polar continental air. The continental breakfast at the hotel was included with the room.
Estimate.
To guess or calculate the cost, the size, value, etc. of something.
Examples:
Estimate of fair value. Estimate this chicken to weigh 3 pounds. We estimated the season's total trade deficit at $50 billion.
Dialect.
A form of a language that is spoken in a particular geographical area or by a particular group of people and has distinguishing characteristics.
Examples:
A local dialect. Minority dialect. The dialect spoken in the region differed from other parts of the country.
Banker.
A person who is in charge of or has an important job in a bank.
Examples:
Central bankers. Investment banker. Bankers are only willing to lend with good security.
Bellwether.
An influential or leading person or thing that serves as a guide or indicator of future trends or developments.
Examples:
Political bellwether. Bellwether stock. The company's success in the market serves as a bellwether for the industry as a whole.
Sweeping.
Extensive, broad, or far-reaching in scope or impact, characterized by a vigorous or forceful movement, often involving wide motions or gestures.
Examples:
Sweeping changes. Sweeping landscapes. The sweeping views from the mountaintop were breathtaking.
Macro.
Computing, a set of instructions that automate a frequently used series of keystrokes or mouse actions. Photography, a lens that allows you to take close-up photographs. Economics, a large-scale economic policy or system.
Examples:
Macroeconomy. Macro scale. Macrophotography is a technique that allows you to take close-up photos of small objects.
Inflation.
A general and progressive increase in prices. Cosmology, A theory of the exponential expansion of space in the early universe, the act of filling something with air.
Examples:
Inflation control. Global inflation. Investment in index funds can often be a hedge against inflation.
Digit.
One of the elements that collectively form a system of numeration, a finger, thumb, or toe.
Examples:
Digit identifier. The digit in the hundreds place. We must enter a 6-digit number to unlock the safe.
Fig.
A sweet and soft edible fruit with many seeds, or a tree on which these grow.
Examples:
Fig marigold. Fig tree. He ate the dried figs he had preserved.
Cluster.
A group of similar things or people close together, often forming a distinct mass or unit.
Examples:
Live in a cluster. A cluster of stars. A cluster of grapes hung from the vine.
Fascinating.
Extremely interesting.
Examples:
Fascinating story. Completely fascinating to me. The museum houses a fascinating collection of Celtic artifacts.
Trend.
A general direction in which something is changing or developing.
Examples:
An international trend. The trend away from television. The oil price continued their downward trend. Currency. A system of money in general use in a particular country.
Examples:
Currency exchange. Digital currency. The currency used in this country is the euro. Extreme. Very great in amount or degree.
Examples:
Extreme sports. Extreme weather events. Solar gravity creates extreme pressures and temperatures. Stability. The quality or attribute of being firm and steadfast.
Examples:
Stability pact. Fiscal stability pact. The policy should increase the country's monetary stability. Dispel. To remove something, especially a feeling of fear, doubt, and false idea.
Examples:
Dispel a painful feeling. Dispel baseless rumors. This program aims to dispel certain misconceptions about the disease. Definition. A concise explanation of the meaning of a word, phrase, or symbol.
Examples:
A precise definition. The definition of a word. Parallel lines are, by definition, lines on the same plane that never cross.
Meaningless.
Having no meaning, direction, or purpose.
Examples:
A meaningless endeavor. Do a meaningless task. This experiment's results are meaningless because the other conditions are not identical.
Unique.
Being the only one of its kind, unlike anything else.
Examples:
A unique teacher. Unique design. The painting is unique, and there is no other like it.
Propose.
To make a proposal, declare a plan for something.
Examples:
Propose the amendment. Propose changes. I want to propose a toast in honor of our long-standing relationship.
Discuss.
To talk about or examine in detail, through conversation or debate, to exchange ideas, opinions, or information on a particular topic.
Examples:
Discuss options. Discuss solutions. We need to discuss the next steps for the project during our meeting tomorrow.
Specific.
Clearly defined or particular to a certain thing or situation, distinct, explicit, and precise.
Examples:
Specific instructions. Industry-specific regulations. The scientist conducted a study that provided specific details about the species' behavior.
Elect.
To choose someone for a specific position by voting for them, to decide or choose to do something.
Examples:
Elect the school board. Elect death. Every 5 years, the provincial governors are elected.
Mention.
To speak or write about something or someone briefly.
Examples:
Mention name. Mention in a report. I mentioned to him that I had seen his sister at the grocery store earlier that day.
Chamber.
A large room used for a formal, public, or particular purpose, one of the parts of a parliament.
Examples:
A gas chamber. The lower chamber. The surgeon made an incision in the chambers of the patient's heart.
Commerce.
The activity of buying and selling things, especially on a large scale.
Examples:
Interstate commerce. The local chamber of commerce. This company has invested heavily in internet commerce.
Dialogue.
A conversation in a book, play, or film.
Examples:
Platonic dialogues. The form of a dialogue. He recorded the dialogue at the time of the incident.
Tenor.
The general meaning, mood, or sense of something, often referring to the overall content, theme, or tone of a speech, written work, or musical performance, A person or vocal range typically having the highest natural adult male voice.
Examples:
Rich tenor voice. The tenor of the company's annual report. The tenor's solo in the opera was incredibly moving, bringing many to tears.
Velocity.
The rate of change of an object's position with respect to time, often measured in meters per second, m/s.
Examples:
Initial velocity. High velocity. The velocity of the car was too fast for the road conditions.
Decision.
The act or process of making up someone's mind about something, a choice or judgment reached after considering options.
Examples:
Decision authority. A selfish decision. She was struggling to make a decision between two job offers.
Mineral.
A solid inorganic substance occurring in nature having a definite chemical composition.
Examples:
Vitamin and minerals. Mineral rights. The robust economy of the country is based on its mineral resources.
Infrastructure.
The basic systems, services, or features that are necessary for an organization or country, such as transport and power supplies.
Examples:
IT infrastructure. Infrastructure cost. Aging societies tend to require huge costs for infrastructure maintenance.
Destination.
The place to which someone or something is going or being sent, the ultimate purpose or goal of a journey or action.
Examples:
Travel destination. Romantic destinations. I am excited to reach my destination and explore the new city finally.
Offshore.
Situated at or happening in the sea, not far from the shore or land, of winds coming from the land.
Examples:
An offshore oil field. An offshore fund. The company undertakes offshore development for software companies in many countries.
Timeline.
A series of events arranged in chronological order and displayed along a line, usually drawn left to right or top to bottom.
Examples:
Timeline of science history. Lay out a timeline. He imposed a timeline on the project.
Etc.
Used to indicate that some other unspecified items or things could be included besides those already mentioned, and so on.
Examples:
Tools, hardware, etc. Meetings, appointments, and etc. The museum contains a variety of artifacts, from ancient pottery to medieval armor, etc. Headline. A heading at the top of a newspaper or magazine story or page.
Examples:
Headline article. Banner headline. The engagement of the two golf players became headline news.
Equity.
The value of the shares issued by a company.
Examples:
Private equity firm. Equity capital market. That company is cautious when it comes to equity investment.
Quitter.
A person who gives up easily or does not have the determination to finish what they have started.
Examples:
Easy quitter. Serial quitter. He was labeled as a quitter after he abandoned the project halfway.
Ominous.
Giving the impression that something bad is going to happen, foreboding.
Examples:
An ominous silence. Ominous sign. The ominous clouds in the sky foretold of an approaching storm.
Acquire.
To buy or obtain something such as an asset, object, knowledge, etc., for oneself.
Examples:
Acquire knowledge. Acquire a new company. Children acquire language at a fantastic rate.
Asset.
Something or someone that is useful or valuable quality, skill, etc., valuable property.
Examples:
Frozen assets. Liquid assets of the company. A sense of humor is an invaluable asset in this job.
Acquisition.
The act of getting something, usually through purchase, negotiation, or effort.
Examples:
Merger and acquisition. Acquisition process. The company's latest acquisition of a rival firm has dramatically expanded its market share.
Retailer.
A person or business that sells goods to the public, typically in small quantities.
Examples:
Retailer strategy. Retailer competition. The consumer electronics retailer offered a discount for customers who paid in cash.
Testimony.
A formal written or spoken statement that something is true, especially one given in court, something that serves as evidence.
Examples:
Testimony before Congress. Give his testimony. Witness testimony backed up the defendant's claims.
Economy.
The system by which a country or region produces, manages, and distributes goods and services, including the money and finances involved in these activities, of an airline, the lowest priced, most basic option for seating in commercial travel.
Examples:
Economy of scale. Economy class. The economy of the country is struggling due to the recent political instability.
Boom.
A sudden increase in economic activity, or a sudden happening that brings good fortune, a deep, loud, and prolonged sound.
Examples:
boom in sales. A sonic boom. The high-technology industry is enjoying a boom.
Consume.
To spend something, especially fuel, energy, or time, in a large amount.
Examples:
Consume a large of alcohol. Consume electricity. A smaller car will consume less fuel.
Undoubtedly.
Without a doubt, certainly, definitely.
Examples:
Undoubtedly successful. Undoubtedly talented. The singer's talent is undoubtedly one of the greatest in the music industry.
Spot.
A particular location or place, a small round or roundish area, differing in color or feels from the surface around it.
Examples:
Beauty spot. A spot on his honor. This remote spot is rarely visited.
Highlight.
To make something prominent, mainly so that people give it more attention.
Examples:
Highlight a string in red. Highlight an important difference. The introduction highlighted the speaker's distinguished career as a consultant.
Investor.
Someone who puts money or capital into something to gain financial returns.
Examples:
Investor lawsuit. A real estate investor. Institutional investors refrained from buying stocks amid the booming economy.
Perspective.
A certain attitude towards something, a particular style of thinking about something.
Examples:
A perspective view. Perspective of the battle. His father's death changed his whole perspective on life.
Guarantee.
To promise something will happen formally, especially that certain conditions about a product, service, or transaction would be met.
Examples:
Guarantee a high quality. Guarantee women equality. We cannot guarantee enough raw material sources.
Euro.
The official currency of most European Union countries.
Examples:
The value of the euro. Euro crises. Some countries may leave the euro.
Bond.
A close emotional connection between two or more people, a certificate of debt that a government or corporation issues to raise money.
Examples:
Bond as a family. Global bond market. They had formed a friendship bond.
Exclude.
To deny someone or something enter to a place or taking part in an activity.
Examples:
Exclude a newcomer. Exclude all other possibilities. The cost for the trip excludes food and beverages.
Balance.
A condition in which everything has the same weight or force, something left after other parts have been taken away.
Examples:
The balance of power. Asset on the company's balance sheet. Try to keep a balance between work and off.
Sovereign.
A king or queen.
Examples:
Sovereign wealth fund. A sovereign state. King George was the sovereign of England.
Indication.
A sign or remark that something exists, is real, or is likely to occur.
Examples:
Indication of inflation. Environmental indication. Faces are a good indication of age.
Industrious.
Hardworking, diligent, and persistent in effort.
Examples:
Industrious worker. Industrious student. He was known to be very industrious and would often work late into the night.
Supple.
Flexible and easy to bend or move, gracefully agile, adaptable or responsive to change or new ideas.
Examples:
Supple muscles. Supple leather. The ballerina's supple movements left the audience mesmerized.
Strategy.
A detailed plan of action designed to achieve a long-term or overall goal.
Examples:
Military strategy. Develop a strategy. Our plan includes a comprehensive marketing strategy.
Barrel.
A large round container made of wood, metal, or plastic, with flat ends and, usually, curved sides, one of several units of volume.
Examples:
A barrel of beer. $30 a barrel. One rotten apple spoils the whole barrel.
League.
An association of sports teams who compete against each other, an obsolete unit of distance of variable length, equal to about 3 miles or 4,000 meters.
Examples:
League championship. A baseball league. He was recruited to play in the professional league.
Curse.
A rude or offensive word or an expression that is not polite and shows that you are very angry.
Examples:
Under a curse. Few curse words. Many autocratic policies became a curse for that country's economy.
Commodity.
A product or a raw material that can be traded, bought, or sold.
Examples:
Commodity tax. International commodity. The government announced a policy to control the rise in commodity prices.
Sustainable.
Able to continue or be continued for a long time.
Examples:
Sustainable alternative fuel. Principles of sustainable development. The government should do more to support environmentally sustainable agriculture.
Launch.
To send or propel something into the air or space using a device such as a rocket, missile, or spacecraft, to make something available or on sale for the first time.
Examples:
launch a spaceship into orbit, launch a big attack. The company is set to launch its new product line next month.
Industrial.
Of or relating to or resulting from industry.
Examples:
beginning of the Industrial Revolution, industrial alcohol. Industrial design has become more focused on human nature aspect than ever before.
Zone.
A specific area, region, or section that is marked off or defined in some way.
Examples:
time zone, zone defense. He was reluctant to leave his comfort zone and try something new.
Announcement.
A public statement or declaration, often made in writing or through the media, that conveys important information or news.
Examples:
public announcement, announcement date. The company made an announcement about its new product at a press conference.
Textile.
Any type of cloth made by weaving or felting or knitting.
Examples:
textile production, tissue textiles. China's textile industry has developed rapidly with the input of foreign capital.
Petrochemical.
A chemical compound derived from petroleum or natural gas, used as a raw material in the manufacture of plastics, synthetic fibers, and other products.
Examples:
petrochemical complex, petrochemical plant. The town's economy relies heavily on the petrochemical industry.
Emerge.
To move out of or away from something and become visible.
Examples:
emerge as a butterfly, emerge from poverty. During colonial eras, new migratory patterns emerged.
Powerhouse.
An electrical generating station, a person, organization, or thing that is extremely successful or influential.
Examples:
powerhouse actors, powerhouse economy. The company has become a powerhouse in the tech industry with its innovative products and services.
Agriculture.
The practice or science of cultivating the land or raising stock.
Examples:
organic agriculture, intensive agriculture. Agriculture is the foundation of our economy.
Forestry.
The science, art, and practice of managing forests, including planting, cultivating, and caring for trees and conserving and developing natural forests.
Examples:
A forestry school. Sustainable forestry. The forestry industry plays a crucial role in the management and conservation of forests around the world.
Organic.
Pertaining to or derived from biological substance, producing plants and animals for food and other items without the use of synthetic chemicals.
Examples:
Organic soils. Eat organic food. Kidney is an organic component of the body.
Stakeholder.
A person or group that has an interest or concern in something, especially a business.
Examples:
Stakeholder engagement. Improve stakeholder relations. The organization held stakeholder consultations to gather input on the project.
Pesticide.
A substance used for preventing, destroying, repelling, or mitigating any pest.
Examples:
Pesticide application. Pesticide residue. The farmer sprayed pesticide on his crops to protect them from insects.
Fertilizer.
A natural or chemical substance added to soil to make plants grow more successfully.
Examples:
A chemical fertilizer. Non-synthetic fertilizer. Nitrogen fixation by the Haber-Bosch method leads to the mass production of fertilizers.
Tackle.
To try to deal with a complex problem or situation.
Examples:
Tackle the issue. Help tackle climate change. The government is determined to tackle sharp inflation.
Replant.
To remove a plant from one place and transplant it in another, often to promote growth or preserve its existence. To reattach a body part, such as a finger, hand, or even a limb, that has been completely severed from the body.
Examples:
Replant the patient's severed arm. Replant crops. After the storm, we had to replant all the uprooted trees.
Electrify.
To make a machine or system work by using electricity, to make someone extremely enthusiastic about or interested in something.
Examples:
Electrify the audience. Electrify a manufacturing process. The product developed through years of research continues to electrify the market.
Pole.
One of two antipodal points where the Earth's axis of rotation intersects the Earth's surface, a long, slender, rounded rod, typically of wood or metal, used as a support or to hang something.
Examples:
A fishing pole. The plus pole. The North Pole is the northernmost point on Earth.
Roll.
To move in a particular direction by turning over and over or from side to side.
Examples:
Roll a ball. Roll down his cheeks. He was exhausted and rolled into bed as soon as he got home.
Tap.
To hit someone or something quickly, gently, and often repeatedly, to use existing resources, such as energy, knowledge, etc.
Examples:
Tap a new market. Tap keyboard with an index finger. To expand the company, we must tap new human resources.
Carbon.
A chemical element that can be found in pure form as diamond or graphite, and it is also an essential part of coal and oil and is found in all plants and animals.
Examples:
Carbon dioxide. Carbon emission. Trees absorb carbon dioxide and give off oxygen.
Creditor.
A person, company, etc., to whom a debtor owes money.
Examples:
The creditor's claims. Bankrupt creditor. I asked the lawyer to initiate creditor negotiations for voluntary liquidation.
Undergo.
To go through something unpleasant or that involves a change.
Examples:
Undergo surgery. Undergo a decrease. The train has to undergo rigorous safety checks.
Tremendous.
Very great in degree or extent or amount or impact. Extremely good.
Examples:
Tremendous amount. Tremendous popularity. We had a tremendous time yesterday.
Strengthen.
To become stronger or more effective. To make someone or something stronger or more effective.
Examples:
Strengthen the immune system. Strengthen a border patrol. Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body.
Population.
The total number of people in a country, region, or location.
Examples:
Population change. Labor population. In just 4 years, the population has doubled.
Telecom.
A shortened form of telecommunications, the communication of information over long distances through various means such as phones, television, radio, and the Internet.
Examples:
Telecom industry. Telecom service providers. The telecom company is planning to launch a new smartphone next month.
Tar.
A thick, sticky substance that is dark in color and is commonly used for road surfacing or as a material for roofing, a common byproduct of burning coal or wood.
Examples:
Tar residue. Tar component. The road workers spread tar over the cracks in the pavement to prevent water and ice from causing further damage.
Transport.
A system for moving people or products from one location to another using automobiles, roads, and so on.
Examples:
Transport facilities. Access to public transport. Enhanced rail transportation is crucial for our business.
Affected.
Influenced, feeling or showing emotion, especially exaggerated emotion, not natural or sincere.
Examples:
Affected way of walking. The affected part. Her affected accent made it difficult to take her seriously.
Fundamental.
Forming an essential base or core from which everything else develops or is affected.
Examples:
Fundamental education. Fundamental rights. Human behavior has fundamental characteristics.
Exchange.
To give something and receive something else in return, often with the implication that the items being traded are of equal or comparable value. Noun, the act of giving or taking something in return for something else, a place or system where goods or services can be bought, sold, or traded.
Examples:
Exchange rate. Exchange a few friendly words. My sister and I frequently exchange books as we love reading.
Numb.
Unable to feel physical sensation and movement, not showing human feeling or sensitivity.
Examples:
Numb with cold. A numb mind. My left arm became numb.
Alternative.
One of two or more available possibilities or choice.
Examples:
An alternative plan. There is no other alternative. Doctors are gradually coming around to the idea of using alternative medicines.
Compete.
To strive to achieve more success than someone or something.
Examples:
Compete against a friend. Compete fiercely. You must compete with others to obtain this position.
Agnostic.
A person who believes that it is impossible to know whether there is a God.
Examples:
Agnostic worldview. Agnostic position. Her scientific background led her to be agnostic about the existence of a higher power.
Loyalty.
The quality of being devoted or faithful to someone or something.
Examples:
Loyalty program. Earn his loyalty. He has always shown great loyalty to his friends and family.
Overhang.
To extend beyond or hang over something, often creating an unwanted obstruction or threat. To be suspended or protrude over something else. Noun, a projection or extension that extends beyond the edge of a surface or structure.
Examples:
Overhang a roof. Vegetation overhang. The tree's branches overhang the fence, providing shade for the yard.
Yield.
The total output of crops, profits, etc. that are produced. Verb, to produce or supply helpful something, such as a profit, an amount of food, or information.
Examples:
Corn yield. The yield on the bond. The company's stock gives a high yield.
Pickup.
A type of vehicle with an open-air cargo bed at the back used for transporting goods or equipment. The act of collecting or gathering someone or something from a particular location. A warrant to take someone into custody.
Examples:
Pickup truck. Pickup and delivery service. I'll be waiting for you in front of the cafe at 6 p.m., so be on time for our pickup.
Diversification.
The act of expanding a business or portfolio by adding new products, services, or investments to reduce risk and increase profitability.
Examples:
Business diversification. Diversification of products. The company's diversification strategy helped them weather the economic downturn.
Vis-a-vis.
Face to face with, in relation to or in comparison with.
Examples:
Discuss vis-a-vis. Compare vis-a-vis. She addressed the audience vis-a-vis the importance of sustainability.
Comparison.
The consideration or examination of the similarities between two or more people or things.
Examples:
Ease of comparison. Comparison of foods on a caloric basis. I've included the two designs for a comparison.
Moodiness.
A tendency to experience mood swings or to be easily affected by changes in mood.
Examples:
Control your moodiness. Moodiness during puberty. His moodiness made it difficult for his coworkers to predict how he would react to things.
Turkey.
Of an animal, a large bird with a fan-shaped tail native to North America, widely grown for food. Of a country, a Eurasian republic in Asia Minor and the Balkans.
Examples:
Swell like a turkey. Turkey breast meat. They prepared a stuffed turkey for Thanksgiving.
Immediately.
Now or without delay.
Examples:
Immediately recall a product. Write him an answer immediately. A suspension order from the court is effective immediately.
Backbone.
The spinal column of a vertebrate, a symbolic representation of strength and resilience.
Examples:
Backbone of society. Backbone curve. She showed great backbone when standing up for her beliefs in opposition.
Triple.
Consisting of 3 items or people, 3 times as great or many.
Examples:
A triple mirror. Triple digits. His coach is a triple Olympic champion.
Agency.
An organization or business that is responsible for specific activities or services, especially when representing other organizations or businesses. The capacity or power to act or exert influence, the ability to make decisions and take action.
Examples:
Real estate agency, intelligence agency. The government agency regulated the country's food and drug safety standards.
Dedicate.
To give all of your energy, time, etc., entirely to a specific person, activity, or cause, to set apart for a particular purpose or use.
Examples:
Dedicate a few hours. Dedicate a chapter to the subject. He dedicated his life to helping others.
Pipeline.
A very long, large tube that is usually underground and is used for carrying liquid or gas for long distances.
Examples:
A data pipeline. Pipeline facilities. Rebels sabotaged the main pipeline supplying oil.
Conclude.
To come to an end or close, to reach a judgment or opinion by reasoning.
Examples:
Conclude a meeting. Conclude that he is healthy. We concluded a ceasefire.
Concept.
An idea or principle associated with something abstract.
Examples:
Learn new concepts. Concept car. One such rapidly growing concept is quantum cryptography.
Release.
To set free or allow to escape from confinement.
Examples:
Release a prisoner. Release CO2 into the air. The animal rights group worked to release the dolphins back into the wild.
Grim.
Looking or sounding very serious or gloomy.
Examples:
Grim reality. A grim-featured man. The result presented a grim picture of inefficiency and corruption.
Horror.
Intense fear or disgust, especially at something shocking or terrifying.
Examples:
Horror movie. Horror-struck look. The stories of war crimes filled her with horror.
Generate.
To produce or create something, to make offspring by reproduction.
Examples:
Generate more electricity. Generate $100 a month. The economic stimulation program would generate a lot of new jobs.
Hydro.
A prefix denoting water or relating to water, usually used in scientific or technical terminology.
Examples:
Hydropower. Hydroturbine. The hydro plant generates electricity by harnessing the power of water.
Explore.
To travel to or penetrate an area or a country to learn about it, to thoroughly examine a subject or a possibility to learn more about it.
Examples:
Explore the world. Explore our options. The management must explore strategies to increase office security.
Perch.
To sit, stand, or rest on something, particularly a narrow or elevated surface, to position oneself confidently or dominantly, to place something in a high or elevated position. Noun, a branch or other elevated place where a bird can rest or roost.
Examples:
Perch on a ledge. Perch of a bird of prey. The bird perched on the branch, watching the world below.
Convene.
To come or bring together a group of people for a meeting or activity.
Examples:
Convene a press conference. Convene the council. The Parliament will convene at 1 p.m. tomorrow.
Distant.
Far away in space, time, or where you are, far apart in relevance, relationship, or kinship.
Examples:
A distant memory. Distant ancestors. The sun set over the crest of distant hills.